Damn, Perk did this?
I don't need no one to save me. I was born to be the greatest. All that time in that basement, all that time isn't wasted. Rapping getting faded. I just wanna tell my mom that I made it. Just wanna be the topic of the conversation. Used to rock the gold plated. Now I'm wearing gold chains like I'm famous.
I have a network of locals in Medellin, so like I have like 3 different drivers that that can bring me around at any time, any place, wherever, you know what I mean, and I hang out with them, and I go into like the like the local areas and things like that, and it's good to know that, because you want to be immersed in the culture, because we got to remember, like Brazil, Colombia, Thailand, Philippines, wherever we at, like that's not our country, that's their country,
right?
And so you want to make sure that you have like boots on the ground, if you will, for situations like this, because now everyone can be like, no, like no, that's not what happened, whatever, because they could be the voice of reason and like and be like, no, like this didn't happen. Like I was there, whatever. You know what I mean?
It's impossible for them to say that he's out here exploiting Brazilian women if he has a network of Brazilian men and who are going to be fierce protectors of their women.
Right.
So that's one thing that I would say. Like, similar to you, when I go to Thailand, I have a gentleman who's like, I call him Uncle Manute, and he picks me up from the airport, and if I want to go any place far, he'll drive me around. I mean, I know how to get around in Thailand, so it's a little different for me because I was there for so long. But still, I haven't been there in a few years, so I need to I still gotta I'm a great believer in checking in.
I was just about to say you got to check in. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, yo, what's up? Like, I went there during there was a build up to a coup. Thailand has it.
Yeah.
Thailand had a coup every other year for the longest time. And I remember I came in with my little yellow fresh polo shirt looking like a chubby bumblebee. And Manoop said, brother, what are you, a yellow shirt? What are you doing? He said, take that off, man. These people about to go to war with each other. You walking around with their colors on. And I'm like, oh. But see, I checked in with him. He put me up on game right away. You have to check in with folks. And now how do you check in? You establish that network to check in.
Exactly. I'm not. See, I wouldn't mess around in Asia at all. Like a lot of those, like a lot of the countries in Asia, like they have that mentality. Like they don't want to fight, but if you're gonna mess with one of them, you gotta mess with
them all. So this dude comes out and he's sitting there, and I'm telling him, shut up, right? I'm just like, bro, shut up. Like I don't know what's going on because my tie isn't that tight.
Yeah.
But I'm telling the guy, you just need to shut up because people are looking at you. And he's drunk, right? And the guy walks up to me. He says, Grover, I'm going to tell these guys to let you take your friend home. And so I just grabbed him and took him home. But he was done. He was going to get the snot beat out of him. But the guy who I'm always cool with, will always buy a drink, I always tip. If I get some extra food, hey, man, are you hungry? You're out here all night. Tell me about your life, this or that, right? We've got a rapport. Years later, I go out to the bars with him when I was drinking. I go out to Thai clubs with him. I go places with this guy because he's my guy. Then he says, "Hey, whenever you get a car, get this guy. This guy will never rip you off." And now I got my driver. I had three people I would deal with, but Mr. Dang, he was an older gentleman. He's retired now. He doesn't drive anymore. But he says, use these guys, and then they also look forward to you because economy is very important in Southeast Asia. In Southeast Asia, they have a very closed economy. People do business with each other. You buy your food from the same place, everything. So when you get into that economy, if I had business that I was doing, like I was like, man, I need to go buy some shirts bulk because I was on the side. I would sell polo shirts bulk, when I come back. Right. And they're like, oh yeah, here we go here, go to here. Here's a guy. This is the best price you're gonna get already. Pre-negotiated. I cut him a little money, cut him a little bit of what I'm going to sell it for. A lot of money, and so that's just called having a network.
Yeah, I agree. And there's nothing wrong with spending a couple of dollars at least just so that you can have that peace of mind, right? Because the thing is, like, that's their country, and hey, you know what? You buy something to eat, you buy them a beer, whatever the case is. Like it's gonna be, it's gonna be a hell of a lot less than what you're gonna pay in the States anyway. So it's not that big of a deal. So if let's just say like the beer and the meal may come up to like, let's say $5 or something like that. Like it's not that, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
It's better to have that peace of mind.
Mhm.
It's better to have that peace of mind and have that network. Like my driver went, anytime when I, come to Medellin, one of my drivers, my main driver, when he picks me up, like we get something to eat right away, or if I've already eaten, I just say, hey man, here's some money, man, go get you something to eat, and it's all good.
Yeah, it's absolutely the proper way to travel.
Yeah.
There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. It's the proper way to travel.
Yeah, and absolutely. And like now, like I go into, now I'm able to like go into areas like where a lot of locals aren't at all. Like no locals really. And I'm comfortable there.
Yeah. Man, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
I haven't spent a lot of time in Colombia, so it's one of the places. But before I go to Colombia, I'll be going to Oaxaca. I'll be going to the family's hometown and spending time with them.
Nice. There we go. Now you said Oaxaca's like in the north, right? Like by the mountains, right?
Oh, Oaxaca's in the mountains, but it's south. It's
south. Okay, sorry about that.
It's south, and it's Oaxaca is by Guerrero and Puebla, and Guerrero is where the largest concentration of Afro Mexicanos are.
Okay.
Well, people from Oaxaca are darker skinned, shorter, natives. Even though my wife isn't really that short or dark skinned, so it's hilarious. I always tease her and say, "Are you really from Oaxaca?" But they're probably the best food in Mexico. Super spicy. If you like spicy food, you've gone to the right place. They also have
spicy food, man.
They have a huge Day of the Dead festival. So my ideal, if I was going to go there and do content, I would go and I would want to document the Day of the Dead festival there, and really document how important it is. It's a very important holiday to them. It's very important, and people don't really know what it is, but their ancestors come back and they believe their ancestors come back and visit them that day, as long as they have a picture in their house.
Oh, wow.
And they have a shrine, they have a picture, and the flowers that they put out is so they can smell their way to their house. That's why they put the flowers out that smell a certain way. And then they have food for them and they visit. So, I thought that was, anything when you're paying respect to the people who came, pretty cool, And so, and that's a part of traditionalism that like is lost here. How many times do people really like yearly pay respect to the people who's passed on, who enriched their lives or sacrificed for them? It doesn't really happen here.
No.
That's the thing that bothers me. They act like women don't go places the first night with men if they want to. We can't have it both ways. We can't say that they're feminists and they're empowered and they can do everything they want to do, but then turn around and say, no, you're taking advantage of them. And that's the thing that bothers me. I don't really get passionate about this and stuff like this, but I get tired. I get sick and tired of these women with these bullshit narratives coming here and saying that someone's doing something. Well, hold on. I thought these women were strong and they could do anything they wanted to. You were strong. It was okay for you to make the choice to go home. It was okay for you to make the choice to be a single mom twice over. It was okay for you to make the choice to go and have an OnlyFans selling a vegan cookbook with your ass hanging out. But it's not okay for a woman, if she chose to go home with a man at night. And I'm tired of that. If we're going to be adults, let's be adults. I'm sorry, I relinquished the floor. I apologize.
No. It's facts though. I mean, it's facts. I mean, because the thing is like the thing is like you see in society like so much bad behavior by these women, and it's like you're trying to call us you're trying to call us pedos and all of these things, and it's like, oh, you're taking advantage of these of these young girls, and I'm like, wait a minute, these countries got laws too, right? It's like, what are you talking about? Like why would we want to go over there and actually do something like that. Are you crazy? Like, really? You think that they're gonna allow like someone underage to get taken advantage of from someone from who's not who's well? First of all, even if that person was in their community, they're gonna handle it. But especially someone from outside of their community, you know what would happen? Come on now.
Explain to them about the laws that you were telling how.
This is something. If America has a trade pact with a country, one of the things they do is they say that country must enforce laws, especially with sex trafficking. I don't want to disrespect you.
Yeah, you good, bro.
Especially with trafficking.
Yep.
They have to enforce the laws just like they enforce it here.
Right.
So you have to understand. So when you see, and that's how you can tell when something's full of it or not, because the American, if Austin was really guilty of doing something, he would have been picked up by the FBI. He would have picked up. People don't understand that the FBI can operate internationally. Yep. You know, they operate internationally more than they operate here, and so that's one of the things when I see this, and it's just me because I gotta. If you knew how heavy my political background was, the State Department will not allow us to do business with somebody without them enforcing our laws with trafficking. America is the leader in cracking down on trafficking, even though most of the trafficking happens in the United States. So what I'm telling people is that when they go here and they say something like that, it's not only that their laws would get them, but after he was subject to their laws, he would come back here and be subject to our laws.
Right.
And so I know somebody who got picked up in Thailand, didn't even do anything wrong, but when he got kicked out of the country and came back, he had to sit in the jail for 9 months until they verified that he didn't do anything, because he was already convicted. So they held him for trial for 9 months because their evidence was that he was convicted there under their system. So they're going to hold him for trial, and then they dropped course on him. So all of this crap that people are talking about, that he could have did this and that, they need to first of all, they need to shut up. I mean, I see those ladies in Texas, and I mean, she's obviously a bust down, you know, and she gonna sit there and act like she's somebody when, you know, she's just a bust down pass around, you know, or all of the UK. And so, I mean, it just upsets me when people say stuff like that, especially for someone who's traveled like this. I know the laws of the country I travel into because I travel.
Right. And
so I know what's going on, you know. And also, a man of any intestinal fortitude wouldn't allow that to be around him anyway. And we never allowed that. My travel group never allowed that. If you came in our travel group talking like that, it'd be Merry Christmas.
Yeah. I like how you did that. But yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, like we don't play like that, man. We don't play like that. And then they also say, oh yeah, these women are just uneducated. So what? Like we're just going in like huts? Like we're just going in huts and just getting them? Like for real? Like they don't have any infrastructure there? Well, hold on a minute. Sorry, hold on a minute, bro. And they also keep saying third world countries. Brazil is a second world country. Colombia is a second world country. I haven't been to Brazil yet, but I can tell you a whole lot about Colombia, especially in Medellin and Cali and Barranquilla and Cartagena, man. Well, in Medellin, like, man, they got some malls there. They got some malls that will put some malls in the States to shame. See, the thing is that, some of these ladies are just used to their girl trips or whatever, or the booze cruise, and then the booze cruise, pull up on the side of the island. So they only see, the part of the island where the people are allowed to go. So they assume outside of that, it's just a rough and jungle. And it's like, really? You think that we going through the jungle for some cat? Nah, bro. It ain't that deep.
Well, one of the things that always offends me is when they say stuff like these people can't speak English, right? And then just to tell you how they're uneducated about just life, the national language of the Philippines was English until 2006. 95% of Filipinos speak English to a competent level. So you're not going over there exploiting somebody who doesn't understand English.
Right.
And so it's just when I see things like that, like I showed Scott the other day. It's a Sao Paulo with a higher GPA, but Brazil, but Rio. I mean, like, and this is what my company actually uses to set prices to where they pay people from who are working remote from Rio during the pandemic, and so that's where I got the website. They said that the average working person makes 58 grand a year there. I mean, in Rio.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I remember when I went to human resources and I verified it with my human resources person. They said no, there's two tiers. There's people who work and professional people, and there's people who aren't professional, people who do labor. The average professional person, which is a great amount of Rio, makes $58,000 a year. You know, and I remember Scott was like, "Dude, it's a lot less than that." And then I sent them the website that they sent me. That's how they decide how to pay people who let's say because everybody worked remote during the pandemic. So if I was I'm going to be now living in Brazil and work there because some people actually did that. And they said, okay, you know, they were Brazilian. So they went back home. They said they're going to work from home, and that's what they paid them.
So what made me, you know, I never really thought about traveling at all. So my friend, she asked me if I wanted to go to Peru with her and her cousins. So we went over to Peru, and during this time period, that's when I started doing YouTube. Okay. And I don't think, no, we started doing Tip Network too at the same time. And so I said, okay, if I'm going to go over Peru, I might as well start recording content. So I started recording a bunch of stuff. I got a bunch of stuff in the backlog that I never edited just because it took too much time and there wasn't much of a return on investment on it. But we got a bunch of stuff that we're going to put on Tip Passports, where it's going to be with Peru, it's going to be with Croatia and Mongolia. So I went over Peru. We went to Machu Picchu, Rainbow Mountain, Huayna Picchu, which happens to be like the tallest peak in Machu Picchu. And then I recorded a bunch of stuff. We went to Cusco, or we stayed in Cusco. And it was literally to experience the world for the first time, to also try to practice my Spanish because I was doing Duolingo at the time. Okay. And also was mainly just to record content. I'm going to be real about it. Like I was wanting, I can probably write this off. I can make content out of this and then monetize this thing later on. So that's where my head was always at. Yep.
No, I mean that makes a lot of sense. And so like one of my very good friends, my best friend really, the Flyboy Way, he's also a content creator. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, Scott, but I know you've heard of him, Grover.
Dude is dope, man.
Yeah. Okay, so both of you have heard of him. Yeah. So he and I went to high school together. And so like he had like the same thought process as you, Scott, right? Like I get to travel the world and I get to make content and and I get to, monetize off of it, right? Yep. And so what he wanted to do was show people experience because like the part of New Jersey where I went to high school and where I had lived at the time, like it was a bad area, like North New Jersey, East Orange, like that's the hood, man. So you got someone coming out of the hood and traveling, getting this content and people like putting this online. And I guess at that time, and this is way before I was KingzNDreamz, because I just really became KingzNDreamz last year, but 2021. It's 2023 now. But like, this is back in 2006 when he started traveling, and he was thinking about that. And so it's just very interesting to hear that you and him had the same mindset.
Oh yeah. Even like I went over to Croatia with another group of friends. We went there for the Ultra Music Festival, which happens to be like EDC type. Electronic music, popping pills and stuff. My man. Shout out to my man Tobias, the traveler. He told me about that. That festival. He and I were just having conversations, and he told me about that in Croatia. Oh yeah, it was great. And that was another thing. Like I recorded a bunch of stuff over there too. So everything was coming from not only my experience as a culture and seeing new things, but it really was coming from a content creation. And in fact, I mean, Grover's already talked about Tip Passports. So that's a channel that's going to be dedicated more on the seeing the world and the things that you need to do to travel safely. Because for me, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm hyper paranoid and vigilant about what my surroundings are, especially if I'm in another country. because there was a time where I was at Ultra Music Festival. I had to backtrack because I had to go return my camera because they didn't allow cameras to go inside the festival or something. I had a GoPro. They allowed GoPros, but not like an actual point and shoot camera. And so I started.
You
heading
can have
backwards.
a lens, you mean?
Yeah. With any lens or flash, they don't allow that at the Ultra Music Festival. So I was heading back, and these two guys I saw in the corner of my eye started rushing at me, and they were rushing at me from behind. I wasn't going like too fast. I was just jogging lightly, and they got ahead of me, and I was like, oh crap! So I started squaring up because I'm like, who are these two guys? So they stopped me and they revealed their badges to me, and they were telling me they're Croatian police. So they told me like they need to search my back just to make sure I didn't have any pills on me. But at that time, I ingested the pills already, so it was, like I didn't have anything. Right. So, and I wasn't selling or anything. Like, no. Like,
I got you.
In a foreign country, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, so they started going through my stuff, and at first I thought like the two cops told me like, oh, let us look inside your wallet, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to give you my money. And at that point, when I look at it in retrospect, I'm like, dude, I would have got myself in trouble or physical altercation with law enforcement if they happened to be corrupt. But luckily, they weren't corrupt police officers at all. They were just really doing their job. Right. And they looked through my stuff, and I was clear. There was nothing on me. And so they looked at my money. I think I had like 400 kunyas, which is the Croatian dollar at the time. Yeah. And they also accept dollars over there. And 400 kunyas, or it was like 500 kunyas. I forgot what it was, but it was a lot of money. And I think that equivalent to United States dollars, I think it's maybe like $150 or something like that.
Okay.
And they basically told me like, don't bring this much money around walking around the neighborhoods. And I was like, okay. And so that's where with Grover, he told me it's not how much money you have. Well, you got to think of money in what does money mean to that person in that country? Because if you travel over there with 500 kunyas, which to you is probably $100, to someone else, that's a come up. I mean, that could be their rent for the month.
Right.
I base everything on how much does it cost to live there. So, because I've always been taught that somebody put a bullet in you over a month's rent. That's just the way it was when I was younger. So if you think, well, in San Francisco, I mean, they put a bullet in you for a quarter of a month's rent because it's so expensive. But if you're somewhere and a month's rent is $100, it's almost disrespectful for you to just be flashing $100 around, because like, imagine how hard someone has to work to get a month's rent.
Right, exactly.
A month's rent is hard work everywhere in the world unless you're rich. Right. I mean, that's just the bottom line. Everywhere in the world unless you're rich, a month's rent is hard work. It represents labor. And so as a traveler, as somebody who's been around the world, that's how I start thinking like, okay, how much is it costing to stay here? All right, this, that, this. Cool. Let me not flash this like this, because like I'm a target now. I'm food. And so that's just one of the things you just picked that up, right? From being around it. Like, I've been jumped a couple of times and robbed a couple of times out and about. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna let this happen no more, because I can get mad and be like, oh, this country's jacked up. But then you still gotta look at, what did I do? Right. I'm still the one here. I'm still accountable for myself.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is that, like, if you present an opportunity, like Razor Razor's, I don't know if Razor Razor's still in the chat, but if you guys are familiar with Razor Razor's content, like, he talks about, especially in Colombia, whether it be Cartagena, Medellin, or what have you, basically guys just really do like putting themselves out there, not in a smart way, not thinking logically, and getting robbed. Whether they're meeting a woman on dating apps, or going to different areas and like getting their drink, getting their drink spiked, or if a guy's wearing like too much jewelry and then getting his watch snatched or his chain snatched, like. You gotta understand in some of these, in some parts of these countries, like as you mentioned, Scott, and both of you gentlemen have mentioned, like $100. It may not mean much to us over here, but to them, that's everything. Like I could pay rent for maybe 2 months or something like that. So if you just walking around with your big medallion, like they the MOP thing, Annie up. Yeah, they getting that. They getting that.
But that was an anthem too, boy.
Yes, it was, and it was real, and it was real, and it was real. It was real. People was definitely getting, people was definitely, you know how they say, jack that fool. Yeah, they was getting jacked. They was getting jacked.